Our next speaker served in key leadership positions from squad leader to command sergeant major in light and mechanized formations over the last 31 years in the United States Army. He has operational and combat tours in Kuwait, Kosovo, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege to introduce the Sergeant Major of the Army, Michael Grinston.
Okay. Well, I appreciate everybody showing up today for the Maneuver Conference worldwide. So this is my first Zoom meeting, and I really appreciate everybody coming in, and I really enjoy going to the Maneuver Conference. I'd really like to be there for Benning. I'm pretty sure we all would, but this is the next best thing, and I thank everybody for tuning in for my initial brief. And this is good. So last year, what I did is I came in, I was brand new. I think I'd been on the job maybe 30 days, maybe. And I said, here's where I'm going with the Army. So I had a whole list of things that how I operationalized what the chief said when he said people first and winning matters. And I had a whole list of initiatives, and I'll just kind of run through very quickly before I even talk a little bit about the slides about some of the things I wanted to go through. And I hopefully, as we get to the questions and answer period, that you can ask some questions about this, or you can ask questions about anything that you feel what's on your mind and topics. There's a lot of topics we could talk about going on in the Army right now. But I'm just going to list out a couple of things that I really said I want to work on. I'm not going to talk specifically about these, but this is just some of the things. If you want to hear more about this, I'd ask you to tune in to AUSA, because I will go into detail about some of the things that I'm about to present. So we talked about getting more stability in our staff sergeants. I'll talk about that in this brief, but there are a few initiatives that we're working on. The year, month availability date is alive and well right now, but we're working on getting more stability, especially at all levels, but my main focus was at the staff sergeant level, and we'll talk about that in a minute. We implemented the expert soldier badge. We actually awarded those for the first time there at AUSA last year. The Secretary of the Army and the Chief did those first expert soldier badge, and we'll talk about that a little bit more, and I asked for your help on that. Talked about discipline and said we want to figure out how we can do better with discipline. And one of the things I wanted to do was get a new Army command policy. The Army command policy is out, and that allows NCOs to do some push-ups for minor corrective training, and that was a big push, and that was one of the things that would help us out with some of our discipline. So that's initiative is going alive and well, and we got that change in AR 600-20, and I'll field any questions about that. Army Combat Fitness Test is coming, 1 October. That'll be the test of record. We're working on nutrition, and we do an Army commitment to overall nutrition every quarter at the Department of the Army. So we're still working on some of the nutrition things. We talked about the 5 quality of life issues. The chief said number 1 was housing, said family housing and barracks, so both of that. And I said I'm going to really focus on the barracks. And AMC started the facilities investment strategy, which is a good strategy, and that's how we're putting more money into barracks. Another thing that we'll talk more about if you tune into the AUSA talking point. In and out processing is still top on things on the top of the list of we really need to work on for our units. I think our special forces do much better than the conventional forces do on how they in and out process soldiers out of units. So we still have a lot of work to do on the conventional force. Again, we're going to go in depth if you tune in. The NCO Talent Management Task Force has been stood up in the last year, and so that's alive and well. And that we're moving forward in NCO Talent Management. And last but not least is this is my squad, which is lead to this slide right here. been talking about this for a year. It kind of evolved and come in and said, what do we want to do? And where do you think the focus of the Army needs to be? And how do we enhance? So I think, having been in the Army for 32 years now, and I look at all the things we've done, we kept doing these briefs on how can we take things off company commanders and first sergeants' plates, and we did that, and we're still doing some of those topics. But I thought, other than equipment, when did we really focus in at the small unit leader? We talked about it, but when did we really put it at the forefront? And that's what This Is My Squad is about. First of all, this is about the leader in the middle. When you look at the slide, it's about leadership. It's not about a program. This is about a culture that values good leaders. And how do we enhance those leaders to make them better? And when we do that, we're going to have a more cohesive team. Our units will be physically fit, they'll be disciplined, they'll be highly trained. And those are the stakeholders of what it means to be in my squad. But even the phrase is important. And I talked about this last year at the Neighborhood Conference when I said the personal pronoun, my squad. Do you want to be, the company commander, or do you want to be my company commander? So do you want to turn and say, that's my soldier, or that's a soldier? So possession and ownership builds a culture that is positive, that says, I want to be a part of this organization, that my leaders care, that they can show compassion, they can show empathy, they have a common goals, they're connected, they understand each other, they know each other on a whole new level. And that's what it means when I say this is my squad. First, it's the leader in the middle. And how do we make the leader better? It shows possession, that it's not somebody else's problem, it's mine, I own it. And that could be everybody on this. It's not, and when I say squad, it's not just about, just the squad leader. So how do you enhance the squad leader? What are you doing as a brigade sergeant major to help the squad leader? What are you doing as a company commander to help the squad leader? Because we find if we have a more cohesive team that's fit, disciplined, well-trained, we're going to see all those things that plague our Army. They're just going to go down. They're going to go away. But a lot of times what we do is we focus in on those stressors of the Army: sexual assault, sexual harassment, suicide, racism. We'll look at that and we'll go, well, we need to do more equal opportunity training. And it may be true. But what I've said is, how do we look at the leader in the middle? And when we look at the leader in the middle, if I need to do more equal opportunity training, what am I going to take away? What are we training them in the advanced leader course? And if that needs to be changed, we need to change how do we develop our leaders. And we may not just need to get some new program. And that's what it means when I say this is my squad. But it's everybody's responsibility to be a part of this, because some people say, well, the Sergeant Major of the Army is talking about, staff sergeant level, and I have no responsibility in that. I think that's just not true. Everybody has a responsibility to enhance the small unit leaders. And the 600-20, that was my responsibility. That says, how can I enable the small unit leader by helping them do some kind of corrective training? And so I was trying to help those NCOs have some authority. And it's actually not about the push-up. It actually has nothing to do with push-ups. It has everything to do with taking action. So what I find is we want our NCOs to really jump in when the big stuff happens. For example, if a building's on fire, people were standing outside and somebody says, oh, I need some help. You think we're going to rush into that? And we've got examples of where people do. they go into those burning buildings. When they see, a car go off in the water, they jump in the water going to save someone from drowning. But it's the simple things on a daily basis they don't take action on. When you hear a joke that is racially motivated, did you stop it? Those microaggressions, did you say something? So I think by changing the 600-20, it enhances my squad by enables the NCO to take an action for those minor infractions, and it gives us the repetitions that we need. So when we do get to the big items, we're comfortable taking an action. And that's what it actually means to change the 600-20. But that was my obligation and how I enhance the squad. But I also want to say that everybody has a squad. And the squad wasn't a rifle squad. It was more of a term of endearment, meaning that I'm in a squad and I like my squad. And so far, nobody can beat my squad. I've got the Secretary of the Army. I've got the Chief of Staff of the Army, the Under, and the Vice Chief of Staff, and Chief Dixon Carter, the Senior Warrant. I got a really cool squad. So, but also, and we look out for each other. We know each other. We know their families, the secretaries, I know his daughter, I know his wife, he's met my family. So that's what it means to be in my squad. But I have a squad, and it's okay. And you can be a member of more than one squad, by the way, because I think my family is my squad. They know me. They know if something's going wrong with dad or, he's had a bad day. And they can ask those questions because we're comfortable in my family and we have trust. And that's what it really means to be in my squad. But can you go to the next slide? Okay. So it's not just a catchphrase. It's not just really something cool. You just walk out. It's like, what are we actually doing to not just 600-20? But there's a lot of things that we're trying to work on. And number one is working on an app that enables the squad, this one is the squad leader, to actually do something. So we've got all these apps out there and, you can find an app for everything. But a lot of the things in the Army, we've got a web-based, it's a login and a password, and we're trying to get out of that. So at the squad leader level, I can just go in and I can just click on the squad leader app and totally focus on 3 areas. Number one, sponsorship, get that in an application. Number 2 is training management. And the third priority to get in the app is counseling. So when you think of this as my squad, it is a phrase, but there's a lot more things that fall under that we're doing specifically that are in that line of effort of this is my squad that we're doing that has some more specificity other than a phrase. So we're doing a team leader panel, a TIMS leadership panel. We have 24 staff sergeants throughout the Army are going to come up with ideas on things that maybe we can change in policies and procedures in school that they can talk to me about and what we need to change to help the small unit leader. So I'm not going to go through all of these. These are just some of the efforts. These are the years we're going to work on them. And maybe if you got questions about that, we can open up for questions as you go through. Can you go to the next slide? So one of the things I said I wanted to talk about specifically for this group is I said more stability. And I really focused in on the staff sergeant level. Now, this slide depicts only one MOS, but for 1 year, I found out, I said, I want staff sergeants, time in grade, time in position, and I want them in that position for 2 years. And after wailing of teeth and gnashing, and I finally just said, you're just not listening. And HRC and the DMPM, the G1 of the Army come in and said, Sir Major, we can't do it. And it said, show me. And this is what they showed me is that, this is just one example. The staff sergeant, we've got an imbalance of 854 staff sergeants are outside the operational force. So what that means is, better percentages, about 45% of the 11 Bravo staff sergeants are in the operational force and 55% are in the generating force. So if I don't, if I can't just do for one, we can't, as soon as we get a staff sergeant that meets all the criteria to go be a drill sergeant, recruiter, SVAB, SF, all these other things that we need them to go do, if I don't have enough in the operational force, I can't fill those requirements in the generating force, and they can't get to 24 months. I think I was a staff sergeant in the operational force before I came a drill sergeant, almost 4 years. Sorry, my screen blacked out there for a minute. So I was there for 4 years. So I'm really pushing to get 24 months. And I think and it's time in grade, time in position. And this is not just about TRADOC. This is TRADOC and Forces Command. So I'll show you in a minute what we're doing to specifically get after this. But I just want to really define the problem even more clearly. As you can see that at the skill level 10 level, it's only 84%. So we got to build up the skill level 1 in order to produce the skill level 2 so we can get to more staff sergeants. So because we increased OSUT to 22 weeks, that caused us to have a slower pipeline for the skill level 10s. But when you look at the chart on the bottom left, you can see it's almost 1-for-1 E5 to staff sergeants. Meaning for every staff sergeant that goes up, we have to, we don't have that big base. When you look at the bottom, you got E3s, E4s, there's a base to build us to that E5. But if it's linear at E5 to E6, we don't actually have the base, the breadth. We want that E5 to be larger, so it's not every sergeant has to make staff sergeant. So that's where we're really pushing. We've got to make sure we get our E5s, our skill level 1s, to the promotion board on time, and then those E5s, we gotta build a better sergeant that gives us a better staff sergeant, and then we've got to slow this down, or you're not going to have the experience at the staff sergeant level. But it also hurts you, in my opinion, all the way up. And I'd say all the way up to be a battalion CSM. So I think when I'm in an infantry battalion and I didn't have 2 to 3 years as a squad leader, when I go out to the squad live fire, do I actually know what I'm looking at? And do I have the base? So if I only have 1 year as a staff sergeant, I did 3 years on the trail. I did 2 years on the trail, 1 year at the installation at the range support. I come back, I'm a sergeant first class. And now, I'm there for about a year or two, then I make first sergeant. And then do I have all the reps and sets that I needed at the staff sergeant level that grounds me in my basic fundamentals? And I think this is hugely important. And I'm finding this to be an extremely challenging. You think you just say do it, and we get it done, but we can't just do it and then break the Army. And I'll show you what we're going to do about this. So we're still working on it. So please go to the next slide. So now this is just one example. This could be infantry, this could be armor. I'm just using this as one data point to kind of show the emphasis that we're trying to put on it and the scale of the problem. But this is not just one MOS, and I'm not only focusing in on 11 Bravos, but I'm just giving you this example. So here's what we really are trying to do with the Army. Number one is do no harm to NCOs. So we still got to do talent management. We still don't want to mess with families, meaning I could just immediately go, okay, I want, 1,000, 2,000, staff sergeants to move from TRADOC to Force tomorrow. And then we could do that. Yeah, but that might be harmful. I'm not sure that's putting people first. So we have to do this slowly over time. So we can't just say, hey, tomorrow you're going to do it. So one of the things that's not on here is, there are, I can't remember the exact number. I want to say about 150 that were getting ready to go to recruiting school. And we said, well, they're just not going. And then there's another 400. We said, well, once they finish with their recruiting duties and they come back to the operational force, we're not going to replace them. So we've got very specific numbers on what we're going to do to bring some of our NCOs back. And that's what we're doing through the generating force. But what we need everybody's help with on the operational side is when we bring them and we put them in your units, they have to go get down to be, get that 2 years as a squad leader. If you put them at the, advanced airborne school, if we're Bragg, you put them in the air assault school, or you put them in some other tasking, the jungle warfare school, or you put them somewhere, they're really good NCOs, but they didn't have that really good base of being, at the staff sergeant level, and you put them somewhere else, you're actually not doing what we need you to do. So I just ask everybody, if you do get these sergeants and they don't have that time in their skills, in their job, that we assign them to that job, give them the base knowledge that they need, and then if they still haven't got promoted after all that time, you can broaden them some more. So it's not just, us moving folks out from TRADOC. We all have a place in this. It's TRADOC, Forces Command, the ASCCs, is that we can't just, put people back in the unit and we don't put them in the positions that we need to develop them. So, and we go to the last slide. And this is the last thing I'm going to talk about is one of the things, and I've heard Jill Garrett talk about this, and we've all been saying it, master the fundamentals. And and we talked about this last year, and we got the badge approved, so we can do this. But I just want to show you who's actually mastering the fundamentals, and who's actually come forward and said, I want to do, not only can I do the expert infantry badge, can I do the expert soldier badge? And this is only one example, but I can pull up the expert infantry badge and I can show you that we still need to do better there. I could also show up the expert field medical badge and say that are we really mastering the fundamentals? And, I'm not the force guy, I'm sergeant major anymore, but I will say that this is important for our Army. If we don't have the base of the fundamentals of our, skill level 1 task, how do we get to other tasks? How do we get to the collective tasks if we can't do those simple things that are defined in the expert soldier badge? But I do want to commend the units that are on here that are doing it. The 75th Ranger Regiment really seems to figure out how to do the expert soldier badge. And we've got some examples, and I know the 82nd did a post-wide, even during COVID, I went down to see how they were doing that. And they had 2 groups. They had a group A and a group B, and you can see that on the slide. So I commend the 82nd. You've got 7th ID. I know they did an expert soldier badge also, but it's very limited. So I'd ask you, when you get to your units, why aren't you doing this? If you're, battalion commander, if you're a company commander, you can ask, why isn't this on the schedule? The expert soldier badge can be done at the battalion level. And so can the expert infantry badge, by the way. I know a lot of people, all the times I did it was at brigade, but it can be done at battalion level. We did that, especially, you can see, for the Ranger Regiment, because they always, one battalion's in one location and another battalion somewhere else. So they have to do it that way. So it's allowed, but just sometimes we just don't do that. And I've asked you, we need to do it. And this is good for Army when our soldiers know their basic skills. So I'll kind of end there because I want to make sure we have at least a good 30 minutes. There's a lot of things going on in the country, and we still got COVID going on. We still have racial injustice. There's been a lot of stuff. And I just want to leave it open for a good, solid 30 minutes to talk about and for questions and answers. Really appreciate all that you do. I really appreciate all the hard work that everybody's doing on a daily basis, especially with all the things that we have going on. We've got feels like the trifecta of, normally I say not everybody gets to be the Sergeant Major in the Army doing a global pandemic. And then, that's number one. And then you throw in, we had some, civil unrest. And then you throw in some of the other things that we had with sexual assault and sexual harassment in our Army. So I feel like that's the big three that we've got going on. We still have the greatest Army in the world. And we continue to maintain our expertise even through COVID, but we can do better. And I know we can, and we can get there with your help. So I appreciate it. And I'll end there, and we'll open it up for questions.
Sergeant Major Army, I'm Colonel Chris Budas. I'm Chief of Staff down here at Fort Benning. How do you read the station?
Loud and clear, sir.
Got a couple questions, or as a matter of fact, a lot of questions from the field here. So I'll start off with the following. Do you believe we need to change current PME POIs to equip junior NCOs to support the objective of this is my squad? And if so, how?
Yes, absolutely. We're going to. But, it's not a final product yet. I believe the first this is my squad training in basic leader course is going to be in October. Is that correct? I think it is. Get a little thumbs up from the back crew here. So, and it's going to start with trust. So, but if you go and you think, well, we need to do more with This Is My Squad, bring those ideas to your brigade, division, sergeant major, or send it to me. And I'll give you one example. I didn't talk about this with This Is My Squad, but this is what we're doing. The X-Horde for the Department of the Army went out, let's say yesterday. And we said, we're going to change the promotion board. I want you, when you come in and you report and you get that really great bio that's all about you. This is when I came in the Army. My first duty station was Joint Base Lewis McChord, where I was a cannon crew member. Then I PCS to 101st Airborne Division Air Assault. And you go through everything that you did. I don't want you to do that anymore. I want you to talk about it. Tell me about your soldiers. Tell me about your squad. What makes them special? What's their PT average? Where did they grow up? They got kids. Where do they live? What's their address? So we're looking at that. And that's reinforcing those things about my squad and how are we doing that as an Army perspective. So we're changing the board procedures on how you go from sergeant, from specialist to sergeant, and sergeant to staff sergeant. So it's going to be in PME. I don't think we've gotten into ALC, SLC, and MLC yet. We need to take a look at that, but we're going to start with the basic leader course and then go up from there. Hopefully that answers your question.
Thanks, Sergeant Major. The next question from the field is the following. How long do you think it will take the Army to transition to the 2 years time and grade and time and position for staff sergeants?
If I could do it, I'd do it tomorrow. So right now, I think it's going to take 2 years, unfortunately. I really wish that this was like, if I could stomp my foot and do it tomorrow, I could. Actually, I could, but, we'd probably break the force. I mean, nobody would be able to leave from drill sergeants and people wouldn't be able to PCS anymore. So it's not just, because some people, when I dig down into it deeper, it's not just, if they said, okay, Sergeant Major, if I'm a staff sergeant and I re-enlisted to go to Fort Carson, do we tell them they can't go there? So those, that's what I mean. There's a lot more to it, and that's why it's going to take us some time. I think if we do it the right way, it will take a year to two to get that there. But this is, if I were magic and I, had a magic wand, I can just tap into it today. But I still think it's going to take us a couple of years to get to that point, unfortunately.
Thanks, Sergeant Major. I'm really going to bundle two questions here because I think they go hand in hand, but I'll let you allude to them in your answer. So one is current future brigade and battalion commanders are going through the CCAP and the BCAP. What is the vision or way ahead for doing the same for command sergeant majors? Then we have a few questions on what is the first sergeant talent alignment assessment?
Okay, so we'll start with first one is we're going to do a pilot for sergeant majors at BCAP. So they're actually going to attend the Battalion Commander's Assessment Program. So, but they're not going to go through the exact same program. It's going to be very similar because they're going to do it at Fort Knox when we do the next Battalion Commander's Assessment Program. So we're going to send about 30 sergeant majors are going to go through BCAP when we run the next BCAP. But when they get to the board, which is a blind board, that board will be sergeant majors. And I think we're going to have one officer. So on the officer side, they have a general officer, they have all officers, and then one nominative sergeant major sits on the panel, non-voting member. We'll have all the sergeant majors will be on the panel for the sergeant majors assessment program pilot that we're going to run in November. And so once we get that pilot for us, we're looking to see, do we run that for everybody at the Sergeant Majors Academy? Because that's where we think that's our Sergeant Majors assessment program is going to be. So that answers the first part. The first sergeant talent assignment, well, it's going to be an assessment. So we went back and said, for enlisted, what is like the really critical job? And when you ask a general officer, where would they want to be? Like, oh, if I could go back and I get to keep the pay, I want to be a battalion commander. And most of the enlisted says, if I could go back and I keep the pay, then, I'd be the first sergeant. Or you can say you could be the sergeant major in the Army. It's a pretty cool job. So they're all good jobs. I've had nothing but great jobs. But we didn't really have a good assessment for how we got first sergeants. And I just used my own failures. As a brigade sergeant major, I just looked within the brigade. I picked, first sergeants within the organization to be a first sergeant and, 4th Brigade of the 101st. And that's really not a time. That's just talent maybe in your unit. So the first pilot that we're going to run in December is we're going to try one at an installation. So we have a couple of courses of action. Do we do this, for all E8s? I'm not sure if we can do that, or can we do a first sergeant assessment, a talent assessment on an installation? And that's what we're looking at. It's going to be the first one that we're going to do that in December.
Thanks, Sergeant Major. A couple of comments here and questions. It's been noted that you're very active on social media. What's your thoughts and advice about senior NCOs being active on social media? How do you personally stay on top of trending Army topics? And how do you choose which ones you want to engage on or not?
Well, first of all, I think we have to be in social media. Our soldiers and, most of the people probably listening in for the Captain's Career Course, they grew up with social media. So it's what we do right now. So, you really have to be engaged with social media. So I think that's the most important thing. You can't just ignore it because it's going to happen. And people will say things on there that they don't have to do facts. They don't just say any other thing you want, which is not true, by the way. So I first of all, I'd caution everybody is that you actually can't say anything you want on social media. You're still a soldier of the United States Army, and those policies have been pretty clear. We've refined those policies over time to match what happens. So somebody said this the other day when I was doing a forum at the noon report for AUSA, and they said, well, soldiers can do what they want. That's actually not true. You can't. So you're very cautious is that you can't just say anything you think you can. Remember, you still are a member of the United States Army. So that's number one. Number two is that your soldiers are there. You need to know what they're doing on there. A lot of times, look at the suicide. A lot of times they're posting it, in their social media. If you don't see what they're posting in there, you're not gonna see what's going on. So you have to be really active with that. And I kind of give you a little full disclosure. It's not fair, for me. It's we do have the Office of the Chief of Public Affairs, and they help me out with social media. But I think engaging in social media, especially when you look at, what we're going on with COVID, I found that to be an effective forum to still message to the force. I could just grab a phone, and say, hey, we need to do better with this. And then we post that on, Instagram, or you post that on Twitter. So it's an effective communication when done appropriately. Soldiers and families and everyone engages on it. You can't ignore it. And even if you do try to ignore it, it will come back very quickly. You have to, when those things bubble up in my advice, the more senior you get, you have to have somebody that's monitoring that, and don't ignore. When something is starting to, and the chief talks about these mushroom clouds, those are actually bubbling up now in social media. When you get this feel that there's something coming up, well, it hadn't hit the really big cycle, but how do you as a leader engage before it actually becomes a problem? And if it is a problem, how do you come off of social media and go point to point with that individual or that organization? We even had, we had a lunch with the League of Latin American Citizens, because of some of the things that were posted on social media. So I think it's a part of our information age that we're in. You have to engage in it. You have to be active. If not, I think you're going to miss part of the message. And you may be missing that other ego of our soldiers, because they're alive and well. And you may learn some things about your soldiers that you didn't know, that they weren't telling you.
Thanks, Sergeant Major. Our next question is the following. If combat is a battle of wills, what is your advice to build resiliency in our maneuver leaders in small unit formations?
I really like this question. So whoever asked it, I mean, they're all good questions, by the way. I really like it. But I had the battle of wills and how to build resiliency. Well, I'll give you two specific examples. I had a friend of mine came by the house last night, Sergeant Major, and he goes, "Do you remember this?" And he's much better at having really old photos of me on his phone. It's kind of creepy. But he says, "You remember this?" And, he shows us, and, we're like miserable in the field. And yeah, it was cold. We did this jump in the Grafenwehr. We jumped in, we're muddy, we're tired. And then, the battalion commander was like, "Great idea." So, "Hey, you're going to jump in. And after you jump in, you did the in-flight rigging, you jump in, you're going to go through, and you're going to do this evaluation, and right after you do all that, and you're going to do a 25-mile foot march." It's like, that's great. If war is a battle of wills, did you make your training to build the resilience? Those shared hardships in training were so gruesome and so hard and challenging, and under all the conditions. It was cold and wet. And I remember at the 25-mile foot march, they're like, "Stop, you got to change your socks. It's pouring down rain." It's like, it's great. Okay, I'll change my socks, but my boots are completely wet. Even if I throw the poncho over my head, my feet are going to be dry for about a nanosecond, and I'll put those dry socks on, and they'll be wet in 5 minutes for the rest of the, 10 more miles we have to go. So I think when you develop your company battery troop training, is it really challenging? Really challenging. I wouldn't want to get anybody hurt, in combat or in training. And unfortunately, we had a soldier die in a parachute accident last night. So that's not what we're saying. But it's got to push you so hard in your training that you're going to be prepared for those hard things in combat that are going to face you. And if that training doesn't build resiliency, I'm not sure what would. It made me a more resilient. It was like, well, whatever happened today wasn't that bad, because, when I was in the field and I didn't have anything to eat, and I was cold and I was miserable, and I had a 25-mile way, it's not that bad. So And then I'll give you my other, I said I got two examples, personal examples. I went to Ranger School and I graduated in 1990, which is, there's probably somebody listening in that probably wasn't born then, so don't need to chime in and ask any more questions about that. But right after I graduated Ranger School, I went to Desert Shield, Desert Storm. Ranger School was so hard. I was like, oh, this combat thing seems to be kind of easy. So it was just, it was tough. It was brutal. It's probably, equally as hard today. 1 meal a day, no sleep. I think first phase, I feel like I got 15 minutes in like 2 weeks. It was really hard. So when I went to Desert Shield, Desert Storm, I was like, this is awesome. I get more food, I get more sleep here. So that's where I think you really build resiliency by going through those shared hardships. And when you build a training calendar or a training event, it should be hard. And I think if you make it challenging and difficult conditions, I think you're going to actually build resiliency in other ways. And that's what it's about when This Is My Squad. When you looked at it, disciplined, well-fit, highly trained. So did I build that training event that mirrored or exceeded those standards of what I think in combat? And I think those build resiliency across not just the physical, but the mental toughness that we need.
Thanks, Sergeant Major. Our next question is the following. Do you assess the length and content of the current NCO PME adequate to prepare current and future leaders for the multi-domain battlefield? If not, what are your, if any, if not, do you have any thoughts on evolutionary change to NCO PME to be prepared for the MDO?
Actually, TRADOC is relooking that right now. There's when we start looking at the National Defense Strategy and how we tie that, officer training, NCO training, and NCO PME, is that going toward multi-domain operations? I think it is. And I would say large-scale combat operations. So when you really looked at it, I think we're focusing, when we start looking at large-scale combat operations, I think, and then you look at the multi-domain operations and how is that all, tied together. We just built the first multi-domain task force up at JBLM. I think General Eisener now, is doing that. And you look at what we're doing with that, tying large-scale combat operations, and then how does that equate to enlisted professional military education? It would depend on the level. So our doctrine has to mirror, and that's what we really need to work on. But I think for enlisted, at a couple levels, those fundamentals would be the same. Do I know my job? Can I be a leader of character, competence, and commitment at the sergeant level? And am I an expert in my field? I think that's been the fundamental of what we've been doing since I've been in the Army. And I think that's still the fundamentals of what we ground ourselves in the future. I think, and then as the higher you go, maybe past the advanced leader course, maybe SLC, MLC, that's where I need you to really dig in the multi-domain operations. Did I bring in, did I think about cyber? But we're actually, even what we talked about with social media, that to me, that's not operation. We don't do operations our own people, just so you know. But that's all those things that come into play. It's social media. When you look at multi-domains, it's cyber. What am I doing in space that enables this? Did I give the enemy multiple, avenues, multiple dilemmas that they have to fight? And that's what we're trying to do. Can we even get to the theater? That's why you need this multi-domain task force. That's why number one modernization priority is long-range precision fires. Do I want basic leader course and the advanced leader course trying to really solve long-range precision fires and hypersonics? No. I wanted to, when I say it's a near ambush, I want them to immediately know exactly what to do. Um, you know, so if we're trying to think about, how I'm going to incorporate, cyber as a staff sergeant at ALC and 11 Bravo ALC, I'm not sure that's where I want you to think. I want you to be an expert rifleman. I know, but when you get past that, that's where I need you to think about those other things. We still have some work to do to make sure that we're nested with the National Defense Strategy, multi-domain operations, JAD C2, the joint, all the domain command and control that the Air Force is working on, and we're working on with the Air Force. Yes. So, but I would say maybe not at the BLC, ALC level in the PME.
Sir Mayor Army, thank you very much for your presentation. Any final remarks?
Yes, I would just like to say I really appreciate all the hard work. We have a lot of things going on with our Army, and we're trying to maintain all the connections that we're trying to maintain. We still have to be a ready Army, and I just want to share this quick vignette. Is that why? A lot of questions sometimes, like, why are we still, why are we going through a CTC? Why am I coming into this? Why am I going to ALC? Why am I going to the Captain's Career Course? Why do I got to go to the Pre-Command Course? Because our country still needs us to be ready. And we're the ready. We've been there in the last, 6 months. Somehow, I guess it's 8 or 9 months now. Maybe we've forgotten. And, in December, I just come back from CENTCOM, and on Christmas Day, I went to a memorial service where a soldier was killed in combat. So we still have soldiers dying in combat. So we have to be prepared to go to combat. About 6 days later, the 82nd Airborne Division got a no-notice deployment to deploy to Iraq. They got called on New Year's Eve. So I'm still imagining, I'm a young paratrooper, and somebody calls me on New Year's Eve. It's like, man, what kind of commander calls me on New Year's Eve to bring me in to do an exercise? Well, it wasn't an exercise. We did a no-notice deploy to Iraq. And that's why you're coming in to do your courses. That's why you're going to the Pre-Command Course. That's why you're going to the Captain's Career Course. That's why you're doing your Expert Soldier Badge. So when the nation calls, they don't want to hear, oh, well, this COVID thing, we're not feeling it today. I really hadn't done my PT. I don't think I'm ready to go. That's not what our nation expects of us. No matter what the conditions are, that we have to be ready. And those are two examples that I provide you in the last 9 or 10 months. Our nation has called, and we've been there. We have to continue to be that ready, and we can't just pause our sessions. We can't pause our schooling. We're not going to be the lethal force that we've been for the last 245 years. And I appreciate all the hard work that everybody's done. I know it's all challenging and different and new. And I applaud everybody's efforts to find ways to do things instead of ways not to do it. Like doing this conference through virtual means is a way to do things, as opposed to a way not to do things. So I really appreciate all the hard work that we're doing for our training to stay ready for our nation. And the last thing I'll say is this is where I need everyone's help too. And those things that are still plaguing our country, and our service, that we need to really dig in so that we can make sure that we're ready, are still some of those things at the bottom of the TIM slide that I talked about. We have sexual assault, sexual harassment, suicides, and racial inclusion we have to do our best to make those better. That way, we can focus in on those warfighting skills with a complete inclusive team that is ready to protect the nation. And thank you for everyone that put this together. And I'm proud to be your Sergeant Major of the Army.
Thanks, Sergeant Major of the Army. For the group, a reminder, you have to back out of this session, then click on the next session with Command Sergeant Major Schmidt. Thank you very much.